All right, there we go. Hi everyone, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Looks like we have a small group, a few more people on here. But keep yourself on mute when you're not talking. But if I want a little participation, unmute yourself and ask questions. I'm here to answer questions as needed. How's the weather down there?
Cold.
I,
Snowy.
I was just down there today in Virginia, in Alexandria, so I got a tour of 495. It was not my favorite. Back up to Baltimore where I am. So don't go out on those roads tonight. It's going to be cold and slippery. Hello,
Hi, how are you?
great Natasha. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm sorry I did not realize it was a forever link. I should have done that because that's what I do with the classes too. So I'll make sure I save that.
I can dig it.
How you doing tonight?
I'm making it happen.
Well, I know everyone's excited to be here, so
I'm pumped. I was with a group this morning, and I had a job last night, so I've been all over the place. But I'm happy to be here, and I need some tasty dinner tonight too. So this works for me.
that's good. The next one we have isn't for a while, and you're in person for our last one.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is good. So awesome.
Cool. Yeah, and we are recording this, so we'll be able to send this. I've been sending them to Angela, and we'll send it out to you. Um,
Good. Because I know a couple of people weren't able to log in tonight, but they will want it. And I know Angela's saving them. She wants, I do believe she's going to be posting them.
cool.
So it's kind of great.
I can dig it. Well, we'll get started in just a moment.
Okay.
I'd like to know if anybody has any questions about the cooking process since the last time I've seen you. Any success stories, any things you're having issues with. The folks that are on the call, can you add to that? Any success stories or questions? Okay.
Not
How about
yet.
how about you, Natasha? Any success stories or questions for you?
Um, I'm just doing really the one thing that I use constantly every week now is when you gave us the salad dressings. So I make homemade salad dressings all the time. I keep a jar and that's probably one of my biggest in it. The success I have is to think outside the box because when you put sweet potatoes in our salad
Yeah.
was a game changer for me.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
I've been doing that quite a bit. So that's kind of nice because I always got very traditional with my salads.
I, I'm the same way. I totally understand, but have some fun with it. And the great thing about making those salads is like open up your refrigerator, put a little rice in there, throw some beans in there, throw what you
Yeah,
have, work with what you have to make some good stuff.
yeah. And I always have olive oil in the house, so I can always make my own salad dressing now. So it's been kind of nice.
Awesome, it's great. Any other success stories or questions you all have?
I have a question.
What's up?
One of my clients brought some soup for me yesterday, and she said that she made the when she used the chicken carcass, she put it in the crock pot, but she put apple cider vinegar in with it. And I
Okay,
never
I've never heard of that, but I'm down.
she said that pulls more the marrow out to make it more of like a bone broth. But I never knew that. Okay. I didn't know if you knew that, if you had any suggestions on that or not.
No, and I would say that's a dubious claim. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm down with it. It definitely adds to the flavor, the overall flavor of it. But if it truly pulls out more of the bones, marrows, really what that comes down to is cooking it longer or
Is that
under more intense pressure, like a pressure cooker. So where a
okay?
slow cooker is going to cook it slow at about, maybe at 212 degrees, just kind of simmering. Maybe 212 is boiling. A pressure cooker is going to cook that at 250 degrees and really get the flavor out.
Okay.
But sounds good to me. I like the idea. I haven't
Well, it was good soup, so
and whatever works, whatever works, I'm good with.
it seemed to work. So
I'm
okay.
down. Do we have any more questions before we get started? We have quite a meal to make. My family's very hungry. I'm very hungry. It's cold outside. It's so cold outside.
It is.
My kids asked me to go play in the snow, and I told them no. It's like, no, it's freezing. They're like, you love this stuff. I was like, I like a nice resort mountain I can go down, and it's just hanging out in the cold isn't for me, but that's okay. But I do want to get started. My name is Chef Egg, and I want to give you all the skills you need to succeed in the kitchen. Okay?
Get up. Get up. You fell. Get up.
I was like, what is that noise? Ma'am, if you could put yourself on mute, that would be great. I was like, there is not a child in my house that fell, but there could have been. Let's start over. My name's Chef Egg, and I want to give you all the skills you need to succeed in the kitchen. This is our fourth session together, I think. And I'm hearing great success stories from everyone. Today we're going to make a warm and cozy meal. We're going to make arroz con pollo. And this just translates to chicken with rice. Chicken with rice is a dish that you have all over the world. There's many, many different versions. But I really like this version because we can utilize things that we have in the house. We're going to mess around with some spices. We're going to do a little fresh pico de gallo to go with that. You can use that as a garnish, or you can use it to dip these baked tortilla chips that we're going to make as well. And really, the goal is to make something healthy that your family's going to enjoy, something you can enjoy for the next 2 days after that if you like. It's also something you can freeze if you want. But also, if you don't like the ingredients that are in here, switch it up, take it out, add something in that you do like, and it's all good with me. There are many different versions of arroz con pollo. Again, styles of rice and chicken from all over the world. So please do make it your own and have some fun with it. Give me a thumbs up if everybody's ready to rock and roll. Okay, I can dig that. Well, I do want to raise my glass of water to everybody. Even though it's wet outside because it's got snow everywhere, it's still very dry. So your skin's going to become dry. So keep drinking that water, okay? Ooh, I needed that. So we are going to start with our arroz con pollo. And the first thing we're going to do is season up some chicken. Now, normally, I would I would chop up a whole chicken. So I'd chop some legs, some wings. I'd chop the thighs in half. I'd chop the chicken breast pieces, maybe in 3 or 4 pieces, keeping the bones on. This is really a dish that utilizes the flavor of the bones in the chicken to flavor the whole thing. But it's snowing outside, and I didn't have that. And I wasn't going to drive to get it. I drove up from Virginia today, and I needed to get home. But I did have some boneless, skinless thighs, which work out very, very well for this dish. So that's what we're going to use. I have a heavy bottom skillet over here. This works out very well. You can use a pot for this. You can use any kind of skillet you like. But I like this heavy bottom skillet because we're going to cook this so it gets nice and crispy texture on the bottom, okay? That's going to be a goal, something that we want. And it's going to stick a little bit, but when you scrape it up, it has immense flavor, okay? So we're going to turn our pan on a medium heat. Let me just check that over there and get that centered. That'll take a minute or 2 to heat up. What I have over here is just some Southwest seasoning, taco seasoning, or chili seasoning. And I used a mixture of cumin, chili powder, paprika, and a little bit of salt and pepper. So the ingredients that we have on our recipe call for fresh pepper, salt, cumin, oregano, and chili pepper flakes. So that's all in here. Then I just have it pre-mixed, okay? We're going to talk about spices a little bit more. I just want to get this started. And we're going to lightly cover our chicken piece.
Go a whole lot. Where the evil puss guy was, who had to fight? Was he there?
Okay. I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you please put yourself on mute, okay? So we have the seasoning, and we are just going to toss this around. You can use as little or as less or as more as you like, okay? The goal here is just to toss this around lightly. Any kind of chicken you have is going to work perfectly fine with this, okay? So we're going to get our skillet nice and hot. Still not hot enough. I can put my hand on it. So we're just going to wait. And we start with seasoning on the chicken to get a good crust on it. We want the chicken to be golden brown, and we want it to cook a little bit, okay? And the goal here is to cook this chicken so we've got good color, which is going to increase the flavor, okay? And you'll see that color, it's basically caramelization of the sugars inside of the chicken. And we're going to get brown bits at the bottom. It's going to be very, very good, okay? So we're just going to wait a moment. That's now getting hot. I have some olive oil over here, and I do prefer about a tablespoon of olive oil, just enough to cover the bottom. We don't want the meat swimming, but we do want a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And I find that it's very, very important to utilize oil in the cooking process, okay? And we don't want things, again, swimming in oil, but you do want to utilize oil so you can brown the food to get the flavor you want, okay? And it's not like we're frying this in a gallon of oil. Your house isn't going to smell like oil, but to utilize olive oil in this way, I think is a very, very good thing. Especially in the winter when it's dry, olive oil is going to help with our skin, our hair, and our nails, but also our cellular walls inside of our body. Your body really likes those vegetable-based oils that are unprocessed. And further, that are liquid at room temperature, okay? So olive oil, little coconut oil, it's not liquid at room temperature, but it counts. And then we have olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil work well for this. So we're getting our pan nice and hot. Again, just a tablespoon right at the bottom, keeping it simple. And then I'm just going to add a piece of chicken. We're going to see if this skillet's hot enough. If I don't hear a sizzle, it's not hot enough. I hear a little sizzle, but it's not sizzling enough. I really want to get a good sizzle because as I add this cold chicken to the skillet, it's going to cool it down, okay? So we'll add just a couple pieces at a time. Further, you want your skillet nice and hot so your food doesn't stick. When the skillet is hot and you have some oil and you add your food, it's going to create a barrier. The heat and the oil will create a barrier so your food will not stick to the pan. It's very interesting and it's very scientific, but that's what we got. We got to wait for that skillet to get nice and hot. And a lot of people ask that question, why does my food stick? It's because your skillet's not hot enough and you don't have a little layer of oil in there. Now, medium heat is going to get us that non-stick surface we're looking. You just have to wait and really allow the skillet to get hot enough to create that barrier. Now that we're hot, we can add a little more chicken at a time. If you dump all the chicken in at once, it's going to cool the pan down too quickly, and you'll get a lot of water vapor in there, a lot of water in the bottom of the skillet. So we're trying to stop that. So just a few pieces at a time. Let it get hot, and you're good to go. Do we have any questions about that so far?
I have a question, Chef Erik. Can you actually cook it with no oil, or oil is required?
Say that one more time, please.
Can you cook it without oil, or oil is required?
I would say oil is important in this. And I understand people are trying to cut calories, but the amount of oil that we're adding in here is negligible as far as the serving size go. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
We're not adding a cup of oil to this. The olive oil that's in this is not going to cause you health issues. Just because it's unprocessed vegetable-based oil. It's not a vegetable oil, which actually doesn't come from vegetables. This is good stuff for your body that your body really needs. But I totally understand where you're coming from. You know, we were raised. I was told oil's bad for you, and where processed oils can be very bad for your body. Olive oil is not that thing. And we learn about the Mediterranean diet and things like that, where a tablespoon of olive oil is pretty good for your body, okay? There you go. So the next step here is so important, but it's so hard. Are you ready for the next step?
Ready.
Yes, yes.
Do not touch the food. Don't touch it. It's cooking. Don't touch it. When you see it cook halfway up the side, when it goes from pink to white, you can start to just turn pieces of chicken individually and just turn it right over, and you'll see the browning on it, okay? This one had some good browning, but I'm going to give this, I'm going to let it cook 3/4 up the side, okay? Just so I have some good browning. I'm not going to burn my food with this temperature right here. But if you start to pick it up too early, you're going to find that it sticks. So just let it cook. It will release from the pan naturally, okay? So while we wait for that, we're going to get our aromatic vegetables going. I got some bell pepper, I got some onion, and I got some fresh garlic. And we're going to make what's called a sofrito. And that is these aromatic vegetables cooked in a little bit of the oil and the meat drippings. It's going to make really, really good flavor. We're going to add a little tomato and some more spices to that as well. So we've got some onion over here. We're going to chop the bottom and the top off. And we're going to cut it right down the center from the top to the bottom. And we're going to peel this bad boy. And we're going to add some onion to the skillet in a bit. And I just want to get this rocking and rolling while this is browning. We then move on to the next job, okay? I do want to give a couple of pieces of chicken just a turn. There we go. Needs a little bit more time. If you see it's sticking, just give it some more time. That's all it needs. Sometimes you can scrape it up, but I think this needs just a little more. There you go. They're starting to come around from the back end a little bit easier. And just give it one turn. There we go. I see sometimes my skillet doesn't heat up evenly, and that's okay. There we go. Just kind of scrape it up. Comes right off. And now we're going to brown the other side. I'm going to turn my heat up just slightly. But this looks and smells really, really good so far. If some chicken sticks to the bottom, not such a problem right now, okay? This is all good. Little heat on there. Move this to the side. So we have our onion in front of us. And I want you to see this. I'm holding my knife with control and support. This is my bear claw, which we learned in our knife skills class. And I'm cutting at a 45-degree angle. My hand and my knife make a triangle in front of me. So I can slice down into my onion to get a small dice. Use my bear claw to protect my fingers. And then turn it 180 degrees and rock my knife through it just like this. Always keep your knife at a 45-degree angle, because when you naturally put your hand down, if I just have my shoulders, hips, and feet in line, my knife naturally comes down at an angle. If it can meet my food at that angle like this, I'm not going to hurt my shoulders and my neck, okay? And I just did a knife skills class today, and people were amazed at that simple change in body, just the way their body is, okay? So we're going to do that one more time. And my chicken is browning over here. Move your bear claw back as you cut. Just move it back. Turn it 180 degrees and then slice through. And sometimes you'll see the chefs, they're slicing this way, okay? I don't think that's necessary for these kind of homemade meals. If you want to do that in a restaurant, that's perfectly fine, but I think it's a hard skill to master, and I just don't think you need to do it. Now I'm going to just rough chop over my onion. We want this nice and small. We want that sofrito to be really, really tasty, almost like a chunky paste, okay? Now further, we are going to chop up some of this onion for a pico de gallo, okay? So I have some tomato that I chopped up. I just added some cherry tomatoes. Use any kind of tomato that you like. And I have that chopped up back here. It's going to be part of our sofrito. So we're going to have cooked tomato in our rice dish, but we're also going to have a fresh pico de gallo as a garnish. So we're just chopping this up nice and small. And we'll move this off to the side. It's definitely making me cry. And that's okay. I'm comfortable. I can cry. And then we're going to toss this around. I'm getting some bits at the bottom of my skillet. And that's good. That's the fond, okay? Little caramelized bits. We're cooking this chicken, and we'll cook this chicken until it's about 3/4 of the way done. So you don't want to overcook the chicken. But right now, we just want to get a good brown on it, get some good color. Scrape up those bits from the bottom. This looks really, really good. Next up, we're going to take some of this bell pepper. Any kind of pepper you have works for me. We're going to slice from the top down to the bottom. And we're going to cut around the bell pepper, around the seeds, around those little white veins that are in there. We'll slice the bottom off, okay? And this is what you're left with. And so we'll just chop this up, and I love to show people this. We chop one way, and we have strips that we can put on a salad or we can dip. We turn that 180 degrees, and then we have a small dice that we can use for, again, salads, salsas, anything you like. So we'll continue with this. And we're just doing a small dice. And this is going to add color, also add some flavor into our dish. Make it smell really, really good. We'll do a little more. I love red bell pepper myself, but today I had orange, and that's what we're going to use, okay? Use what you have to make it delicious. It's all good with me. Just move this off to the side. And our chicken's almost browned up real nice. So by the time we're done with this, that chicken will come out, and we'll move on to our next step. Now we are creating what's called mise en place. And normally, before I start cooking this, I would have done all of this, but I like to show you all how this works. And mise en place is very important in the kitchen because it means everything in its place, all right? You have all of your stuff ready to go. You have all of your pans ready to rock and roll as well. My oven is preheated right now. And it's the way in a professional kitchen we can do all that cooking so quickly, okay? So mise en place is very, very important. All right, at this moment in time, I'm going to take my chicken out of here, and we're going to start to sweat our vegetables off, okay? And again, this chicken is 3/4 of the way cooked. It's not fully cooked so far, and I totally understand that. It's going to simmer in a liquid, a brothy liquid, as we cook the rice. That will ensure that it is fork tender when you want to eat it. Make sense to everybody? Good. I would give you a thumbs up, but I cannot do that right now. We're going to move that back here. We're going to throw in our onions and bell peppers. There's a little bit of browning on the bottom of my skillet. And that is, again, the fond. Not the fonds, but the fond. F-O-N-D. I'm very fond of those brown bits at the bottom of my skillet. We're going to clean this off. And this is smelling amazing right away. Now what do I want to do? I'm just going to grab, here we go. I got a nice big spoon, and we're going to saute these vegetables at the bottom. They're going to start to release some liquid, and it's going to scrape up those bits at the bottom of the pan. So we're deglazing by using the wet vegetables in here. Turn my heat down a little bit, and we're just going to let that go for a hot second. What I can do to increase the water in here, take a very small pinch of salt. Very small pinch. And this is negligible in this recipe, okay? So I understand we're trying to bring salt down. You can cook with salt. You just have to do it in a responsible manner. And the minute I added that bit of salt, I'm getting a lot more liquid out of my vegetables, okay? but we are seasoning the vegetables so it tastes good. I will ask you this. If you are cooking properly and seasoning your food as you go, you will not need to add salt on top of your food when you sit down to eat it, okay? And that's really the big thing, is that extra salt at the end will cover your tongue and make everything salty. And our goal is not to have this be salty. Our goal is to have this taste good. We want to taste the vegetables. We want to taste the chicken. We want the rice to be flavorful but not salty, okay? I've got some garlic over here. And I waited a little. I'm going to add a ton of garlic to this because I like garlic. But I waited to add the garlic because the garlic will burn in the skillet if you add it at the start, okay? So we're just going to take these cloves and smash them up. And we're going to get the garlic out of there. Keep an eye on this. Give it a stir. We've got some good moisture scraping up those brown bits at the bottom. This looks and smells very, very tasty so far. Like I said, I like a lot of garlic. You can add as much or as little. Give me a thumbs up if you like garlic. There you go. Garlic, it's very good for you. It's aromatic. It's inexpensive. You can use it in a wide range of recipes from all over the world. It's good for inflammation, reducing inflammation in your body. It makes your breath smell amazing. So I want you all to give that a whirl. They say, you eat too much garlic, you can't kiss anybody. I said, well, if the person you're kissing eats the same amount of garlic, cancels each other out, you're good to go. But I do enjoy garlic very, very much. All right, so we're just going to chop this up. I mean, I've got, I probably have a couple of good tablespoons of garlic in here. More the merrier for this dish.
Chef Ed, what did you do to peel that garlic so easy? What were you doing to peel the garlic?
I smashed the clove of garlic, and then I peeled it out, and now I'm just chopping it up.
Okay.
Okay? And I like fresh garlic, and it's a pain in the butt sometimes. But I like fresh garlic. And generally once a week when I go to the grocery store, I'll get a fresh new head of garlic. It costs 75 cents, maybe 50 cents. And I can make, Chinese food with this. I can make Indian food. I can make Mexican food, Italian food. So I think garlic is excellent thing to have in your house. Now, what are some other things that you can buy that add great flavor and are inexpensive? Well, I'm going to add my garlic in here. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. I can see some browner spots at the bottom. So we're going to start to scrape those up. That looks really, really good. But fresh lemon, fresh lime, herbs, like we're going to use cilantro today. Herbs like parsley, rosemary, thyme. Great things to have in the house to boost flavor, okay? Right now I'm going to add my tomatoes to this. This is going to start the sofrito that I was talking about. We're going to cook this down. This looks wonderful. Brown spots, we just scrape those up. And we're still at medium heat. From medium, I can go up a little bit if I need to brown. I can go down a little bit if I need less heat, okay? So this is the sofrito. We want to cook this down until it gets kind of sticky, okay? So this looks really, really good. Now from here, we're going to add a little bit more of our seasoning. And I'm going to talk more about the seasoning in a bit. I like to wait until I have some time while this is cooking and we put our chips in. So we're going to add maybe a good teaspoon of seasoning into this. And again, this is cumin, the red pepper flakes, a little chili powder, and we're cooking those spices with the sofrito to get some really good flavor. And we're just going to cook this down. You can smash it up if you want, but boy, it's really, really wonderful. And this is a method of cooking that's found in Tex-Mex, Mexican, South American cuisine, island cuisine, African cuisine, and Indian cuisine as well. Now, I like a little heat in mine, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit of chopped jalapeno, and we're gonna take some of this chopped jalapeno and add it to our tomatoes over here. I got really into pickling, or making like a pickled jalapeno relish. And we are chopping this. I can tell these have a little heat. We're definitely going to wash our hands when we're done handling this. But I took leftover jalapenos from the garden. I chopped them up, threw them in a jar with some vinegar and a little salt and a little sugar, and I let it sit in there for a couple days. And I've got pickled jalapenos, and they're phenomenal. Okay, so very, very cool thing to do with your jalapenos. Wonderful flavor, big flavor, not a lot of calories. So we've got a nice hefty teaspoon of jalapeno in there. I'll chop up a little bit more for our salsa back here. I'm just going to bring that. I got some chopped tomatoes. We did a little bit of those chopped onions in there. And I'm going to chop a little bit more of this jalapeno, and then I'm going to wash my hands. I will also need to wash my cutting board very well with just hot water and soap, and just get the heat off my board. The capsaicin is the oil inside of the pepper that gives it its heat qualities. So we want this nice and small. Throw a little bit of that in there, but great stuff. My sofrito smells amazing. Looks really good. I can dig this. You guys digging this so far? Thumbs up. There you go. So we cook this down. All right, I'm going to wash my hands. First, I'm going to flip my cutting board. All right. Well, those are all of the... My kitchen is hilarious. There we go. That's cooking. I'm going to wash my hands. All right. This is good. So the next step with this dish is to add our rice now, okay? So we're going to start to add our rice, and we want to toast the rice. We're using this cooking technique where we browned our vegetables, right? We cooked our sofrito, but we're using this cooking techniques to increase flavor. Now, we're using seasonings, we're using some salt, but it's not where our flavor comes from. Our flavor comes from the food and the cooking process, okay? That's why we brown off the food first. So right now, we're going to toss this rice and vegetable mixture around, and we want it to get kind of sticky in here, okay? So once it gets kind of sticky to the bottom of the skillet, we know that the sugars or the carbohydrates turn to sugars in the rice, and they start to caramelize and get sticky, okay? So we're just going to wait just a minute or two for that. Utilizing the heat, I see some sticky spots on the bottom, but we're utilizing that heat to increase the flavor. So we're starting cooking the rice now. Also, the rice is soaking in the flavor from the vegetables and the tomatoes and all that good stuff. So we're already starting to increase flavor inside that rice. So as you eat it, it's got really nice flavor. All right, and it starts to smell really good too. This looks great. We'll give it just another minute. Keep tossing it. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to turn my back burner on medium heat, okay? Because I find that this flame right here is very small and contained. It's a portable burner. But the electric heat that I have back here is a little bit more wide. It helps the rice to cook a little bit better, okay? So we're getting some sticking at the bottom. That's not burning, but sticking. Now the recipe calls for peas, but I couldn't get to the store today. So I have frozen vegetables, and that works just fine for me. So you can see we have some rice in here. There's a ton of vegetables in here as well, okay? And that is very good. Yes, question.
Hey, that was dry rice you put in there. That wasn't any type of rice that was cooked prior, right?
Fried rice, my friend.
All right.
All right. Now the recipe that I gave you calls for 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of liquid. But the rice that I have is a jasmine rice. It calls for 2 cups of rice to about 2.5 cups of liquid. Every rice is different. Follow the directions on the box, okay? If you had too much liquid, you are going to get mushy rice. We are adding our chicken back to this. That's wonderful. And all the juice at the bottom, okay? That's going to be very important. And you can see I got some browning on my spoon. We are rocking with that. And then I have some low sodium chicken stock over here that we're going to pour over the top. Very good. Now the goal here is to bring this, first I'm going to start to scrape the bottom. So we're scraping up that fond, okay? Getting all those bits so nothing burns. We work that flavor back into the liquid, and then the liquid will soak into the rice, okay? So that's what we're talking about right here. Very, very tasty stuff. And we're going to have a full pan of food over here. And you can make this, double, triple recipe, half recipe, whatever you like. So this looks really good. We're going to bring this up to a simmer. And then we're going to cover it up with a tightly fitting lid. And we're going to drop it on this low heat back here just to let it sit for, maybe 20 minutes or so. And that's going to allow the rice to cook through properly, all right? So once we got a good simmer, we'll give it a stir. We'll cover it up. And we're rocking. I want to taste this, okay? We're just going to taste for salt. Now would be the time to add that. That's pretty good, y'all. That's pretty good, just the way it is. So I do like to use chicken broth or chicken stock. You can make it on your own, or you can get it from it comes in a box now. Used to come in a can. But I always prefer the low sodium, so you can just make sure it doesn't have a ton of salt in there. And if you need to add a pinch of salt here and there, go for it. But, you don't have to get crazy with it. I still see some brown bits at the bottom. I'm just trying to scrape it out of the way. But we want this to steam. It's a beautiful one-pot dish. Now, a couple of additions. Some people will add chopped up olives and throw it in here. Some people will take some capers and throw it. In fact, it's not on the menu, but I got some capers and I want to throw it in there. I think it's very good. I got some capers over here. Capers are like little sour little pickly things. It's actually a brined berry. Little caper berry. I'm just going to chop some of those up. This is just for fun, but the classic recipe will call for something, either an olive or a caper to throw in here as well. And these are, they're going to add a little salt to it. So just be mindful. Just be mindful of that. Just a small amount. Really adds great flavor to this. Stirring it up. Looking really, really good. All right, so at this point in time, I just want to taste one more time. I had a little spoon over here. See how that rice is coming along. Very good. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water because I feel it needs it. And then we'll give it one final stir and then set it over our low heat. We've got a nice little simmer going on. Now, sometimes you can take this whole thing and toss it right into the oven. And that's a fun way of doing it. You could throw it in a 350-degree oven for about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and you'll get some really good stuff going on. So we're going to very carefully pick this up, and we're going to put it back here on our kind of electric range back here. See, the flame here is very small, so it's not going to give us coverage that we need for that large pan. I'm just going to move this over here. We don't need it right now. Raise my glass to you all. Cheers to everyone. We're coming out on a Friday night. There we go. And I'm going to drop the heat on this to about medium low. So it's on the further end where low would be down here. I'm about like right here, okay? Medium's up here, medium low right there. Do we have any questions so far?
Nope.
I think we're doing pretty good. It smells amazing in my house. When we do these virtual classes, and there will be more public virtual classes for you all as we move into February and March. Oh, excuse me. There will be community classes offered, and everyone's welcome to come to those. Okay, we'll be making some really, really cool stuff, but we'll bring the recipe out before so that everybody can enjoy the cooking process with us. I want to do some toasted tortillas. I got kids. I go through, this is flour tortillas. I go through this often. A lot of quesadillas, a lot of wraps. And I really like doing some toasted tortillas because it's just, more health conscious than eating fried corn tortillas. Now, people will say, hey, well, this is a flour tortilla. It still has calories. It's still a carb. So you can do this with the low-carb tortillas if you like. And you're going to get just a double dose of awesomeness by toasting the low-carb tortilla. It's still a chip. You can eat chili with it. You can eat all kind of snacks with it. But you're not getting all those fat calories from it. So that was kind of the thing I was going for. We're going to chop these down in half. We're going to chop these into quarters. And then we're going to chop these into eighths. There we go. Put that down there. I have a baking sheet, and it just has this is a silicone liner. Pretty inexpensive these days. You can use some parchment, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It won't stick. You'll be perfectly fine. So I'm just gonna kind of panel these back and forth, just so I get better coverage on my baking sheet. If they all go one direction, you don't use the pan to the best of its ability. So I just like to go back and forth, and we should get pretty good coverage on this. I made 3 tortillas. It's going to be plenty of chips to enjoy with this. And have some fun with your toppings. Sometimes I'll put a little cheddar cheese because I like cheddar cheese. We're going to do a little olive oil and salt today just because it's very, very easy. You could use some of your taco seasoning if you like. But I like to use a little bit of oil. Sometimes I spray it, but I like this little basting brush. And I can just give it just a little dab of oil just to cover it. And this is going to give us good browning. It's such a minuscule amount, but it's going to give us good browning, and it's going to help the salt to stick, okay? I do feel, we're not going to add a ton of salt to this, but just a very light sprinkle. Because I use kosher salt, and that little grain of salt adds so much flavor. And it doesn't make it salty, it just makes it taste good. That is always going to be our goal, okay? And, the amount of salt that's on this as opposed to a bagged fried chip is vastly different, okay? Vastly different. So let's just cover this up. My oven is at 375 degrees. Everyone's oven is different, but I find 375 is really good. It's going to take about 10 minutes, okay? And we are going to use our timer. I'm going to talk about timers and measuring devices in just a moment. But very, very small amount of oil. That's that spray oil. It's not very value oriented, but it does get distribution pretty good, okay? Can we just check on this? This looks lovely. I'm gonna turn my heat up slightly. And then we're gonna use a small pinch of salt. We're gonna pinch from up high and just let it go. And the higher we get, the better distribution we can get. It's not a lot of salt. It's a small little pinch, okay? We're gonna put this into the oven, 375 degrees for 10 minutes. And then we will check. Let me just lower this. And I have a timer up here. There we go. Now, very quickly, we'll take a few minutes talking about it. Measuring things, right? Liquid measuring cup has a spout. Dry measuring cup is flat, okay? It's flat because you're going to take a knife and you're going to level it out. Dry measuring cup, wet measuring cup. It's good. What else do I have in here? My bag of tricks. Same thing with measuring spoons. You measure and then you scrape the top, right? We don't know how much a tablespoon is of everything. Measure it. And it's a good value to have these in the kitchen. Now, what do we do for temperature? Use a thermometer. If it says take the chicken out, once it reaches 165 degrees, stick the thermometer in the chicken. It costs $10, and it will ensure that your food comes out wonderful every single time, okay? Time. What do we measure time with? We use a timer. If it says to cook it for 10 minutes, set the timer. You don't have to guess when the pasta's done. You don't have to guess when the rice is done. Just set the timer. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a thumbs up if you're good. Is it going to cost a couple of dollars? Sure. Just a few. But these tools are an investment to make sure that your food tastes awesome, okay? Talking about spices for a moment, I make a little spice. This is just a mason. This is not a mason jar. This is a ball jar, which is different than a mason jar. And I go through taco seasoning so quickly in my house. I gotta make like a cup of it at a time. So I keep it in a sealed jar. But spices sit in cabinets forever. Forever. And I got a spice cabinet over here. I got nutmeg. It's in a small container. I'm never going to use this. I use nutmeg twice a year. It's still here. This is 2 years old. I keep it sealed tightly. It's in a dark, cool place. It's okay. Next year, I got to buy a new nutmeg. Does that sound good to you all? Thumbs up. There you go. What's next? Peppercorns. This is a pretty big container of peppercorns. I go through this once every, maybe 4 or 5 months. So a large container, which costs $6, is good for me because I use it. If you're not going to use it, don't buy it. Sound good? Here we go. Let me give you another example. Cinnamon. This is a small cinnamon. We go through this pretty quickly. I generally get a larger container because we do use it for different things, and I use it for work. But this thing costs $3. Fine. Great. A larger one, 3 times this size, costs $7. For me, that's a good value. For you, it might not be. Okay? Oh, this is a good one. Celery seed. How often do we use celery seed, y'all?
Very rare.
Chicken salad, maybe? That's about it. So, I go through this, but it takes, a year or two. Sealed tight, cool, dark place. My point is, if you have spices that are many years old and you don't know when you bought them, toss them, okay? And you only need to buy a new spice or a new seasoning when you need it. Does that make sense to everybody? Just toss it, and you'll be like, oh my God, there's so much space in there. And when you need nutmeg for next year's pies, buy it next year. Sound good to you guys? Clearly, you're going to throw something away that you never knew that you needed. But the spices that are in there from 10 years ago, they're no good. They're not potent. The flavor is gone. Make sense? Okay, just quick and sweet on that one. I'm gonna turn this around over here. Get some good coverage. Rice is cooking up nicely. And again, we want to get a little crispy at the bottom too. So we're gonna let that sit there for another, about 10, 15 minutes or so. And the steam is soaking into the rice and it's doing very, very good. Now I got some tomato, I got some jalapeno, I got some onion. I want to throw a little fresh cilantro in this, okay? So I have fresh cilantro, and I love cilantro. I keep it in the house often because I love tacos. And I love breakfast tacos too. Give me a thumbs up if you like breakfast tacos. You get some eggs, scrambled eggs, some black beans, a little cheese, corn tortilla that you toasted up, a little bit of this pico de gallo. Thumbs up. But I utilize the stems and the leaves for this. And I think it's very important because where I just have my stems left, this has flavor in it. So keep it. I have it in a kind of a wet paper towel over here, and I'll give it a little bit more water, and I'll lightly wrap it in some plastic wrap, but this will stay fresh in your fridge much longer than just keeping it out. So we'll give it a little water, just a small amount to keep it wet, and we'll be good to go. So we're going to chop up our fresh herbs. And again, for the money, cilantro is fantastic. Fresh parsley. A bunch of parsley costs $1, $1.50 maybe. Great flavor. It looks beautiful. It adds such a pop of flavor, texture, and it looks really nice. But these herbs are very, very important to make your food the best it can possibly be. I would add a little bit of lime juice, but lime on a snowy day is hard to come by. So we are going to leave it just like it is. Just grab a spoon. And I'm secretly furious about this inside. So please hold your comments back because I'm upset about that. I would love to have a squeeze of lime in this. So just mix this up. You can dip your chips in this. You can do a little garnish on top of your rice if you like. Have some fun with it. You could take this. I sometimes take a scoop of this and put it in a bowl and then mash it up with some avocado, a little extra lime, and a little pinch of salt. You got guacamole. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all like that guacamole. And the guacamole is not extra like it is at Chipotle. So we are rocking. Do we have any questions? It's 6:50. It's Friday night. We're getting crazy. What's going down? Natasha, do you have any questions?
No, but I'm really enjoying the show that you're putting on with this food because it inspires me. I will say that, to step outside of my comfort zone. So I don't know about anybody else in class, but I tend to cook the same things every week, and I get in a rut.
I'm with you. It happens to everybody. I got 2 kids. They got activities. They got school. We have work. There's never enough time. There's never enough resources. There's never enough limes and avocados. So you have to work with what you have. My kids would eat black bean tacos, beef tacos every single day. They would top that with some pasta if they could. So we really have to do a lot of thinking about what they're going to eat. And sometimes we don't make the best decisions. Sometimes we just go to what we have. And my youngest will eat cereal that night. It's not what I'm looking for, but it's what happens sometimes. And I totally understand that. And I do want, everybody watching, I want you to understand that. Sometimes we don't make the best decisions. I was in DC last night, and I had to get food where I could get food. And the food I got wasn't the best food. I did not enjoy it that much, but I needed some food. And my stomach hurt this morning. I was like, oh, I ate that bad food, and now my stomach. It was instant that I shouldn't have eaten that. And I learned a lesson. So we all learn our lessons for what we put in our bodies, for what we cook for our families. But you will get into that rut from time to time. The best thing I can offer you is go online. I really like this cooksillustrated.com. Very, very good. online. You can get a subscription. They have free content, but they also have a printed magazine. That's really a home cook's industry standard. It's a lot of professional tips, and they're all about making sure you make the best recipe possible with the best tools and the best value kind of way. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of Cooks Illustrated before.
Not. I
No?
want to write that down.
cooksillustrated.com, and then Cooks, it's like a big, I'll actually show you. I have one over here. A magazine I actually read. What is that? Nope, that's not a Cooks Illustrated. This is a Cooks Illustrated. Oh, chips are done. Cooks Illustrated. Very, very good resource. These chips need just a few more moments so we can check them, and then we can set our timer. You know, we're going to give this maybe 3 minutes. That looks wonderful. 6:55. We're rocking and rolling. I'm going to put my knife away. Put your rag on top of your blade. Wipe away from the spine, not towards your hand. Okay? I'm going to put my knife back up here. That looks great. We're going to grab a nice bowl. There we go. I always like my food on a nice white plate if I'm presenting it, but my cabinet's filled with cobalt blue plates. What are you gonna do? They look nice, but I like to serve on a nice white plate. Got our salsa. Chips are rocking. I'm just gonna peek on this rice. It looks really, really good. I'm gonna turn my heat up on this so we get a little bit more browning on the bottom, okay? And that browning is really nice. It's very important in cultures around the world that you get that sticky bit from the bottom. Tastes really, really good. It's like caramelized rice down there. Excellent stuff. But I like to rock and roll. What's up?
Hey, this is Kim.
Okay.
Again, I just wanted to give you kudos as to what an inspiration you are and how it really has influenced our cooking. And just wanted to give you just real quick something that happened about 3 weeks ago. So we were doing a tasting here, and one of the people, she is a vegetarian and she's an excellent cook. And then the kids, of course, are used to salads and stuff like that. So as part of it, I made your salad and also the vinaigrette. And normally one of the kids said that they would not eat the salad with the vinaigrette, and so the family ate the whole salad.
Good.
So I just wanted to tell you, really, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I love when I'm in the kitchen with the knives and just trying to step it up.
Cool. And we step it up every single time. You got me? Every time I make something, I'm trying to make it better. I'm never satisfied. Always try to step it up a little bit. Every time you step it up over a year, it's that year that makes the difference. It's the same thing with our health goals.
Mm-hmm.
Every step you take, every move.
I just with everything that you've just taught us and stuff. I mean, I love salads and I love chopping and stuff. So I'm always like, okay, am I standing right and am I doing it and stuff? So just want to give you kudos. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I believe what I was put on this earth to do somehow. So I'm rocking and rolling. I'm gonna check on my chips, and I do want to get y'all out of here on time so you can enjoy your evening. There we go. Let me get this out of here. My wife said that's the nicest thing she's ever heard. So she's over here. These are our chips, everyone. What do you think? Pretty good?
Good.
So we're going to let them sit on here and just let the pan come down to temperature. Let them sit on there. They're still drying out a little bit. What are some more questions you have? Oh, that's my timer. What are some more questions you all have? Because we have a few more minutes. I want to get some good brown on that. But what you got for me? You can send compliments my way as well. Let me grab a trivet for this. I'm gonna bring this over. I want to show you these trivets I got. And I have a collection now.
Hey.
Who made these?
Hey, I'm not telling.
I'm telling. I love them. I think they're so cool. We're getting our kitchen redone, and I'm going to try to find a way we can get these integral into the system. You know what I mean? So check it. I'm going to bring this RO's cup. I was looking for a sizzle, but I don't think I'm going to get it. Set it on my fancy trivet. Normally I'd let it sit for about 10 minutes, but we do need to get moving, so we're not going to get that 10 minutes. That's okay. Sometimes you don't get what you want in the kitchen. You got to make it happen, okay? I was working with some military people today, and they were very adept at making it happen, okay? So in the kitchen, in the home, sometimes you just got to make it happen, and that's okay too. But I do want to uncover this. Rice is cooked really, really nice. Smells delicious. I'm gonna just set this back here. I want to taste this before I serve it. Just gonna kind of fluff it up a little bit. Looks really, really good. That tastes good, y'all. I'm down with this right here. I'm gonna eat that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna serve this yet. It needs a few minutes to steam. So what we're gonna do, just kind of bring it over here so you guys can see it. You guys can see this delicious bit of awesomeness. And then I'm gonna take some of my pico de gallo and just garnish it. And if you pop this out for your friends, they will absolutely love this, okay? So that looks beautiful. Beautiful colors, a meal for a whole entire family, very, very healthy. Do we have any questions before we roll? Nope. All right. I want to thank you all for joining us. My name is Chef Egg, and it is my goal to give you all the skills you need to succeed in the kitchen. If you have a question, reach out to me. My email is egg@chefegg.com. Find me on Instagram and Facebook @chefegg. And if you want to watch more videos and get some more good stuff, check out www.chefegg.com. So thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you for Natasha for setting all this up. I appreciate everybody. Have a fantastic evening, y'all.
It looks great. Thank you so very much.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
everybody. See you next week.
Okay.
I watched the whole movie by myself. I can't remember the only video.
Give it a